the arrival of GBTC as a uplisted spot Bitcoin ETF, as well as spot Bitcoin ETFs more generally, is actually the beginning of an opportunity for the advised wealth market in the United States. That's about $30 trillion of wealth that, by and large, has not had products that they can go into to obtain spot Bitcoin exposure. Now,
you know that we're going through a digital transformation of everything. Apple represents a digital transformation of telephones and cameras, and Google's the transformation of books and libraries. Bitcoin represents a digital transformation of capital. 99.9% of the capital in the world is tied up in real estate and stocks and precious metals and bonds. And so we're 0.1% transformed. People, as they get educated on digital assets, are realizing that they ought to be allocating more and more of their capital to this digital asset. And so they're moving from 0.1 to 0.2%. And I think that's really driving the trend. I've said before, if Bitcoin's not going to zero, it's going to 1 million. The real question is it legitimate asset? If it's a legitimate institutional asset, everybody is underallocated to it. No, there's a lot of uncertainty around the rest of the crypto ecosystem, but the one certain element of the ecosystem is Bitcoin is universally acclaimed to be a global commodity or an asset without an issuer. Mm-hmm. So the one thing we can count on is Bitcoin goes forward in the year 2024, and a strategy built around Bitcoin is generally a pretty safe one for institutions. We welcome fair value accounting. It's gonna create much more transparency and clarity in P&Ls and balance sheets for any companies that are holding Bitcoin. I think the real significance is that there are companies like Berkshire Hathaway and Apple Computer that have $100 billion plus in cash. And right now they have to invest it in treasuries and sovereign debt. And with this change in fair value accounting, you're going to have a commodity that's valued as fair value, and it becomes a legitimate treasury reserve asset for publicly traded companies. They're all factors. Education makes a difference. Institutional adoption makes a difference. The spot ETF news is good news. Loosening of monetary policy is good news. Inflation anywhere in the world drives Bitcoin adoption. And of course, the halving is going to cut the available supply of Bitcoins for sale in half from the miners. And so we've got a confluence of very bullish milestones over the next 6 months. And I think smart money is investing into that ahead of it.
I do wonder what you think about the centralization of mining, though, and whether you're concerned, since so much of the crypto community does seem to be flagging it right now.
You know, people focus upon mining pools, but the actual mining is taking place in Bhutan and in Argentina and South America and Texas and Europe and Iceland and Africa, everywhere in the world. And so the miners themselves are very decentralized. They'll remain decentralized because they're chasing after power that's effectively marginally free. And the pools, they will accumulate hash rate from time to time, but they don't really have the power. The power is sitting next to a geothermal or a hydroelectric project somewhere in the world.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patreons. If you're not a part of the Patreons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. We have the Grayscale CEO says that a spot Bitcoin ETF can unlock trillions. Now that big institutional money can come in. And we have Michael Saylor finally admits it. We're going towards a digital transformation of everything. And guys, who's been saying this from the beginning? That's right, the Crypto Teacher. And you know I wrote about it a long time ago. This lets you know we're near to the fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. When you hear the people come out with the truth, we know we're knocking at the door. And we hear Michael Saylor speak about the spot Bitcoin ETF, the halving of 2024. But guys, we know who we have to keep an eye on. The Fed and the central banks. We know the NWO, the master magicians. We're going to get that distraction, that crisis. We know the emerging markets are going to lead the fourth industrial revolution. So they're going to give us the signal. And like I told you, crypto regulation will come in 2024. And now we have the crypto projects targeting politicians. And of course, Jamie Dimon says that crypto is for criminals, along with Elizabeth Warren. But we know the banks are the biggest what? And we know politicians are paid puppets. So this is nothing but the Hegelian dialectic in order to move us forward to this digital transformation agenda that Michael Saylor was talking about. And then, guys, we have Amazon investing in satellites. That's right. Skynet 2.0 is coming. Of course, we have Elon Musk Starlinks, and now they want to be a competitor. And remember, the whole point of blockchain, digital currencies, satellites, is so therefore the NWO has the all-seeing eye. They will be able to see everything you're doing, no privacy, and then on top of it, tell you what, where, and when and how to buy, and you have 3 to 6 months to spend your money or poof, it's gone. And 60 to 70% of the jobs are going to be handled by robots, algorithms, and drones. Remember, guys, this is a world that we're leaving behind. And we heard that first from Jerome Powell, not the movie. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
So that was actually just announced this morning. You know, for us at Grayscale over the last year, we've spent, I can't even tell you how many weeks on the Hill, really ensuring that we're advocating for our investors and making sure that as our regulators are looking at crypto, they're doing so through a really informed lens. So for us, it's really been more about education. Well, I think if you look back at this year, the price appreciation you've seen in Bitcoin has really been driven by both the macro and micro forces. I think you're right on the macro front. Inflationary pressures, rising rates have caused investors to think about Bitcoin as a store of value or, a hedge in their portfolios. But on the micro front, earlier this summer when my team had our court victory, I think that certainly unlocked a lot of optimism amongst investors about GBTC and the prospects for it to uplist as a spot Bitcoin ETF. So as we turn the corner into the new year, I know there's a lot of focus on that from the investment community. Well, Joe, I'm not one to make price predictions, but I do think there is a lot of optimism again in the market. I think a lot of investors are adding Bitcoin to their portfolios. And when we look ahead to the hopeful approval for spot Bitcoin ETFs, it really is going to unlock the opportunity to a part of the investment community that, for better or worse, but I would say for worse, has unfortunately been locked out of the opportunity to participate in having Bitcoin exposure in their portfolios. So we're really talking about the advised market here in the US, which is today about $30 trillion worth of advised wealth that we hope the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs, the uplisting of GBTC, will allow for that opportunity and for those investors to partake in it as well.
Use case that is, I don't know, Jamie's a smart guy. It's always kind of surprising to me when I read something like that, but he's not he's pretty outspoken and frank about what he does believe. So I don't think you can just put the worst case scenario aside that eventually Congress does something really bad to crypto.
Well, whether you're the CEO of a major financial institution or a sitting politician, you're of course going to be able to have your own personal opinions about these new technologies. That could be crypto, that could be Bitcoin specifically, but it's actually those very same financial institutions and, the types of bills that sitting politicians are looking at now that are actually modifying themselves to account for the needs of modern day investors and modern day citizens. And that includes having access to new technologies like Bitcoin. So you can have personal opinions, but, changes are very much already underway.
It's an effort to challenge Starlink, but it's an effort to provide just an alternative to internet access options for folks who, don't have broadband handy. You mentioned cruise ships, airplanes. There's an entire industry already built to serve those constituencies. Amazon thinks they've built a better mousetrap here that can deliver it better from low Earth orbit.
Better than Starlink?
They think so. They don't really break out their competitive stats by name. Another Amazonian trait to not really talk about their competition. They clearly do think that they've got a more powerful set of satellites. Starlink originally was set up with kind of a minimum viable satellite product. Their early iterations were just real basic satellites, basic communications satellites, and Amazon clearly is trying to invest in a more powerful device.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go, but clearly
we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID 33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.